Robot vacuums have always felt like the quintessential smart home tech. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of a future where a droid cleans their house? But let's face it, most of these droids are not what we're looking for, especially if you have pets or kids. But the Switchbot S10 has done something different. It isn't all rosy, but it might just be the droid you're looking for to automate the boring stuff. Switchbot isn't sponsoring this video. They did send the S10 to me to check out, but they did not pressure me to make a video. And between you and me, if this was junk, I wouldn't have made this video. But after 4 months of trying out this vacuum, I can say this is one of the coolest pieces of smart home tech in my house. And it just might be, dare I say, the perfect vacuum for anyone with pets or kids. Although it does have some quirks, so stick around to the end where I point out some potential issues you'll want to consider. But first, let's talk about what makes this robot vacuum different. I feel like a self-emptying docking station is one of those must-haves at this point. The biggest issue though is you need a place to put that docking station, because they're typically not small, especially for a vacuum mop combo like the S10, but Switchbot decided to make this 2 docking stations. So one station collects the dust and dries the mop roller, and then the water station handles the water. We'll get to the water station in a bit, but the design choice means the dustbin is pretty compact. You only need about 10 inches of wall space, which is at the bottom of space requirements for docking stations. And Switchbot says it can store your floor filth for up to 90 days, which is on the high side for docking stations. That of course will vary based on your cleaning habits and how filthy your floor is, and of course how well the S10 is at performing its job. I suspect you're already pretty familiar with floor cleaning droids, but I did want to point out some of the things I really like about the S10. First, the top plate here is held in place with magnets, making it super easy to remove to get to the dustbin, especially when it's in the dock, because there's nothing more annoying to me than having to remove the vacuum from the dock to get to the dustbin, because occasionally you will need to get in here, even with a docking station. This is a LiDAR-based robot, and LiDAR does make these things better. In fact, the mapping function on the S10 is probably the best I've seen. It's actually the first robot vacuum I've used that has a separate mapping function. Switchbot says the S10 uses AI to help with obstacle avoidance. I can't tell whether the AI is actually AIing. And that's a verb, right? Anyway, AI or not, the obstacle detection in this robot is pretty good. Remember how I said I thought this robot was perfect for people with pets and kids? In this house, we have 1 kid, 1 dog, and 3 cats. Which means the floor is constantly covered in cat toys. And dirty socks. Seriously, I think my kid shed socks. Anyway, I'm not sure how to tell if the AI is working or not, but check this out. Even something as small as this toy mouse, the vacuum sees it and just cleans around it. This sock in the hallway? Same thing. The things it does seem to struggle with are things that involve string, which it will pick up and get tangled in the roller. And it seems to have a problem with cat toys along the wall. Here it grabbed this triangle one and pulled it along until it dropped it a bit later. Although it does appear on the app as if it saw the item and perhaps assumed it was attached to the wall. And things like this compressed Kleenex that fell out of someone's clothes when we emptied the dryer. It did pick it up, but apparently the roller unraveled it, and then the vacuum stopped and told me something was tangled in its brush. But in the past 4 months, I haven't had to remove a sock or a toy mouse from the roller. So the S10 has given that 6 hours of my life each week back. This little station for refilling clean water and emptying dirty water is perhaps the star of the show, I think. This is meant to go under a cabinet against the kick plate, and I think it would work well there. Actually, Switchbot wanted me to put it there, but I decided to do a little remodeling and put this in a different place. So let's keep that between you and me. Now, to get this set up, you do need to hook it into a water supply and a drain, which might sound scary, but it's really not. I used my bar sink, but you could easily do this in a laundry room or bathroom if you don't have a bar sink. Switchbot sends you everything you need to get this done, except an easy way to work with pipes inside of a small cabinet. With the cramps of working in a space not built for normal-sized humans.
What is this? treasure for ants!
It took me maybe an hour to get this thing all hooked up. It would have been faster if I hadn't been trying to get video and I had put the tools back in the right spot the last time I used them. But I can promise, I'm not a plumber and I hooked it all up and it doesn't leak, so you should be good. It does have a little filter inside of this water station, which helps make sure to grab any solid stuff before trying to push it through this tiny hose. So you'll want to check this from time to time and make sure it's closed tight. I'm speaking from experience. But if you don't have easy access to water and a drain, you can get the vacuum with this, which adds a reservoir to hold 2 liters of clean water and 2 liters of dirty water. It does require you to fill this empty part yourself, and it does take up more space. But if you don't want to mess with the plumbing, this option is for you. The little water station, though, doesn't need direct power. It has a battery that recharges from the vacuum, but it does come with a cable in case you need to give it a jump. And you can fill this part right here with a cleaning solution. The S10 has a roller for its mop. I'm not sure if this is the only vacuum to do this, but it is the first one I've put my hands on that uses a roller and not just a pad. I think this could be a bit more effective at mopping your floor because the roller can be cleaned as it cleans your floor. In fact, cleaned 300 times a minute according to Switchbot. This means it's not just dragging that dirty pad along your floor, just smearing dirt. And if you want proof it's actually pulling up dirty water, you can just forget to tighten this little cap. I mean, that water is dirty. Anyway, I tried using the mop on the lowest water setting, and the S10 seemed to struggle with water coverage. When doing its pattern, it seems to leave gaps between rows. The roller does move up out of the way so it won't get your rugs wet. There does appear to be a small gap from the rug to where the roller starts kissing the floor again. This one seems obvious simply given the time involved and the transition from rug to floor, so I don't think we should expect it to be exact. But on the max water setting, the mop works really well, and there's no gap between rows. In any case, I recommend using the max water in places like your kitchen or other high traffic areas. When the mopping is done, the S10 will return to the water station and empty the dirty water. Refill the Droid with clean water, and then there'll be a pause that may seem like there's something wrong, but it's simply charging the battery in the water station.
Okay, got it. Going back to charge
And
now.
when it's done, it'll return to the main docking station, empty the dustbin, and dry off the roller. Now, let's talk about potential issues you may run into. The pascals of suckage for the S10 top out at 6,500. So not the strongest robot vacuum on the market, and I can see that being a concern. But with 3 cats and a dog, this vacuum does seem to do pretty good at keeping the floors clean. Here it is picking up the cardboard chads from one of the cat scratchers. Those things are almost as annoying as finding the kids' socks everywhere. Oh, come on! Anyway, it got that green thing up there as well. So the 6500 may be all you need. It does seem to struggle with pet hair on some of the rugs, but honestly, every vacuum I have struggles here. Although it does do a decent job when the vacuum power is set to max. This is the first vacuum that sucked up something like this Hot Wheel connector into the dustbin. Most of them just drag it around, making noise.
I hope it's worth the noise!
Until you pause it and free whatever it has. So I'm really not sure that you're going to notice a difference in power. Now, the obstacle detection is pretty good. I mean, all of these little shoe icons that are on the app are the S10 watching me film it. But the obstacle detection does cause some minor issues. It seems to give these things quite a bit of space, which might be good if this was actually poop, but this toy mouse is small compared to the space it was given. It also didn't flag the map as detecting an object, so if I had looked at this map after the run, all I would see is it left a big circle empty on the map, but no indication why. And it doesn't appear to adapt in real time in some cases. This sock in the hallway is a good example. When it first encountered it, it flagged it as fabric, and treated it as something it couldn't get past, given that it was in the middle of the hallway. So I moved the sock to one side next to the wall. But when the vacuum came back, it didn't adjust where it was on the map. It acted like it hadn't moved, and didn't adapt to the changed environment. That meant for this run-through, it left half the hallway not completed and skipped a whole room. And the Switchbot app doesn't provide a notification that the vacuum couldn't complete its run due to an obstacle. Hopefully, Switchbot can update their notifications to provide some indication that an obstacle prevented it from completing its task. And lastly, the Home Assistant integration. Switchbot products have been easier to integrate with Home Assistant as of late. The recent Switchbot Lock Pro got a direct integration, but sadly the S10 doesn't have a direct integration as of this video. And that's not to say it won't in the future, and for now you can add it to the Matter devices in the Switchbot app if you have a Matter compatible hub like the Hub 2. But inside of Home Assistant it just appears as an on-off switch. So you can turn it on with an automation and it will run according to the last setup it has in the app, and turning it off will send the robot back home, but you can't change the mode or get alerts if something is wrong via Home Assistant. All of that has to be done in the Switchbot app. The design of the S10 allows you to place the base station in one place and the water station close to water, which is nice, especially if you have limited space along your walls for a docking station. So I think this design gives you more flexibility than some of the other self-refilling robots out there. Plus, you get the added benefit of it actually being able to drain the water without you having to be involved. While the vacuum power might be weaker on paper than some of the others, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And the vacuum power seems to be on the high side of other similarly priced options out there. The mapping ability seems to be pretty good. It marked all of the furniture in my rooms and handled new obstacles without issue, other than giving them lots of space. And the S10 allows for a floor cleaner for the mop and not just tap water. I'm not sure if any cleaner works, but Switchbot offers refills for the cleaner that they provide a sample for in the box. And I think being able to add cleaner to this helps make the case for it being a better mop, as well as having a roller versus the pad. And of course, Switchbot's app is full-featured, giving you the ability to automate this robot to fit your needs. But the inability to automate this with Home Assistant is going to be a hurdle for a lot of people. But as soon as the Matter standard gets full support for robot vacuums, the ability to integrate this with Home Assistant should be easier. As of this video, you can pick up the S10 for less than $1,200, which seems to be in line with vacuums with this feature set. Actually, from the few I checked out, it seemed to be a better deal with an estimated 13 weeks of dust collection between emptying and the actual vacuum power. But $1,200 is a hefty investment. So as with any product I talk about, be sure you do your own comparisons. And if you want more information, I left some links in the description to help you get started. But honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with Switchbot. I've long been a Switchbot fan. I found their devices to be reliable, and I really like their approach to designing a lot of their tech to connect to your existing dumb products, instead of making you go out and buy new ones. And if you decide to pick one of these S10s up, you can use my affiliate link, which helps support this channel at no cost to you, which helps me bring you more content to help you automate the boring stuff.